savewithconrad.com.
My name is Sergio. I'm from Lancaster in California. The motivation behind just following through with this refinance was to have a baby on the way. So just wanted to get everything in order. In the past couple of years, just afraid to pull the trigger, but then it just seemed like the right time to do it. I went to multiple banks, not only the mortgage I had, but then I went to you, and then I also went to several others. And it just seemed like your team, they were just completely honest and outright. Also, all the information was just laid out for me right there and then, answering all my questions in a timely, efficient manner. Diane was just so helpful and above and beyond accessible with both texting and emails, and just any information that they needed. She would explain to me what exactly they wanted me to send, and then if there were any issues, she was able to just resolve them pretty quickly, versus other companies that sometimes it would take a couple of days to get some information. We were looking to pay down some debt, also looking into making some improvements to the home, also build up our backyard, do everything, especially for our daughter coming. By doing this cash out, it's a good amount that we're saving, between $1,000 and $1,500 a month, I would say. It helped out tremendously as well. My name's Sergio. I'm from Lancaster, California, and I saved over $1,500 a month with savewithconrad.com.
NMLS number 2129, Equal Housing Lender. savewithconrad.com. Hey, it's Conrad Thompson, and you're listening to My World. And of course, we couldn't do it without the Hall of Famer, the greatest professional wrestler of all time, your friend and mine, Double J, Jeff Jarrett. Jeff, how are you, man?
Oh, Conrad Thompson. Glad to be here. Happy My World recording day. Hope all is well. I can't wait to kind of dig in. We got all kinds of things. You're never, ever going to guess in a million years what was a part of my weekend. But we'll get to that. But football season is upon us. My man Codes is now a Philadelphia Phillies fan. We've jumped on that bandwagon. Not real sure, but Steelers and Steelers-Packer game is on Cody's birthday. So a lot of football chatter around the house. It's hard to believe. There's going to be football on every week here in America between now and, February? But Forbidden Doors coming up. Get to go across the pond. Excited to see some of my UK friends. Made a couple of appointments over the weekend for coming up in a couple of weeks. So anyhow, Connie, what's on your mind on this My World recording day?
We are recording on a Monday morning, fresh off of a huge SummerSlam. Without question, the biggest SummerSlam in history. We're going to break it down, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves talking about SummerSlam, you mentioned Forbidden Door. Man, that's sneaking up on us. We're less than 3 weeks away now, and we know that Tanahashi is going to be in action on that show. We know the Hurt Syndicate is going to be in action on that show. We know Timeless Tony Storm is going to be wrestling Athena. This is, of course, Athena's Casino Gauntlet Championship match. Athena, man, she's had a groundswell of support in the last year. I think everybody who's seen her in, say, Mississippi or Louisiana or Texas Indies, I know my buddy Pondwater Dave, he's been singing her praises for a long time. And I know that a lot of people were really excited for her All-In weekend. It feels like she's got a lot of momentum going, and it feels really organic right now, Jeff.
And Conrad, I worked with here, as Colin Cowherd likes to say, because he's on Fox Sports. He refers to ESPN as the other place. So I'll do my inner channel, Colin Cowherd. When I worked with Ember or observed Athena, what was it? She was Ember Moon, right?
Amber Moon, or Ember Moon, whatever it was. Yeah.
Ember Moon. Anyway, she's got an aura and a charisma about her. And I am definitely not late to the party on jumping on the bandwagon. But Conrad, we did the kickoff party for All In. Gosh, that seems like a lifetime ago in a lot of ways, but she was a part of that. What's that venue? Texas Live. But she was there as well. And, I was the MC of it and brought talent out back and forth and all that. But we chatted that night as well. And, I didn't want to get too deep in the weeds there, but, she came into the organization, well over a year at Ring of Honor. And I just was observing that in a lot of ways, in that she's really put in the time and the effort and in a lot of ways, the emotional investment. And so I hate to say it, but it's about time. I think her future is super bright because she can walk, she can talk, she can all kinds of styles in the ring. So yeah, she's what do they call it in the stock stock buying business? She's a blue chipper, as JR would say.
Yeah, she is an 18-year overnight sensation. I, for one, am really, really excited for her. What's that?
She's 18 years in the business.
Started wrestling in 07.
Damn, good for her. Didn't realize it was that long a career.
Yeah, shout out to Skandar Akbar and, of course, Booker T. She had a lot of success in Ring of Honor from 2013 to 2015 before going to NXT. She was there for 3 years and then on the main roster for 3 years and back in NXT a little bit. She was only on the indies for a hiccup, and now Tony Khan put her in business in 2022, and AEW fans have fallen in love with her. So it feels like a coming out party for her. I'm really, really excited for her to have this opportunity. It's going to be happening in just about 3 weeks. And I got to tell you, I'm pretty fired up for Okada and Swerve Strickland. Swerve Strickland is clearly one of the top stars in AEW, maybe one of the modern day pillars of the organization, if you will. And we don't have to. So what can we say about Okada that hasn't already been said? Forbidden Door is stacking up to be a pretty badass card, Jeff.
Yeah, and Okada, gosh, that's he's one of the talents that he came in, and I'll probably get in trouble how I articulate this, but he came in, and it's still said today the greatest tournament wrestler of all time. But accolade after accolade after accolade, the face of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Gosh, Conrad, as we both know, a long time, but entering into, I'll call it his full-time status in a U.S.-based promotion. I think there was a bit of a proving ground is not the time, but just kind of a warming up, and he had a character and he had the one-liners, and there was a little comedy involved, obviously. And so there was a bit of a balance, I think, working through, because he's always had the in-ring ability, and it's the U.S. pageantry, pomp and circumstance, promo, showmanship, if you will. And I believe we're kind of seeing that start to they sowed some seeds with some comedy stuff. But as you kind of see things heat up and heat up and heat up, and the Omega All-In match, he is so damn good in the ring. But I think this Swerve story is going to bring out a lot of personality, because Swerve, you can't help, he's got a ton of personality and Nana and everything that goes with it. So yes, likewise, I'm very excited about the matchup.
I can't wait to see it. I had to go over to cagematch.net and figure out that they've only wrestled in singles competition one other time. It was a DQ win back in July of last year. Swerve beat Okada by DQ in Arkansas. I don't think we're going to get a DQ. I could be wrong, but I think we'll have a clean finish. So
yeah,
we're going to know what we got with Swerve Strickland and Okada. I'm here for it. And tickets are on sale now at AEWTIX.com. We hope that you'll make plans to see The Last Outlaw. Rumor and innuendo is that you're going to actually take all of Mercedes Moné's belts personally. Is that true?
Conrad, some things don't need.
Oh, this isn't AEW Unreal. I'm sorry. I don't mean to peel the curtain
There
back.
we go. You concised it up. We don't need to talk about some things on this.
My bad. Hey, listen, I'm new to this. I'm learning.
You sure are.
I'm pretty fired up. I don't know that I've mentioned this before, but AEW making their debut in the old ECW Arena, the 2300 Arena. It's happening at the end of this month, August 27th. And Jeff, you may not know this, but I'm a wrestling nerd. You may have heard that. But Shane Douglas, when he threw down the NWA title and proclaimed himself the champion of Extreme Championship Wrestling, that was August 27th.
Amazing.
And when ECW debuted on TNM, when they first got national TV, that was August 27th. So I know ECW's dead and gone, and WWE owns that IP. But we're in the building that really created ECW on August 27th for AEW's debut. I think it's interesting that it's the same date.
I didn't know. Wow. Because was that your post? I think it was your post.
Yes. I mentioned it on Twitter.
The shame, didn't you just mention the shame part? Not really the TV.
No, they were both there. Yeah.
Oh, see, I skimmed over it. That's me that's me reading social media while doing cardio. I didn't go in depth, but that is kind of cool. So leads us to We going to see any cameos that night?
You got to assume they're going to do some sort of ECW homage on August 27th. It's one that I'm actually going to try to make a trip for. There's no nonstops from where I live to Philadelphia, but I'd love to be there when AEW does a live TV show at the famed former ECW Arena. And as you see, they're going to have a bit of a residency there. Actual Ring of Honor pay-per-view is now August 29th. So you're going to think about how fun that is. If you're making plans to come see ECW or AEW in the old ECW Arena, that's on August 27th. But 2 days later, on August 29th, you can see Death Before Dishonor or Ring of Honor pay-per-view. That's a Friday night. And then on Saturday, you get Collision. So I'm just freestyling. If you're a hardcore big-time wrestling fan, you could come in on Wednesday, explore, go run the Rocky Steps, get yourself a cheesesteak at Tony Luke's on the 28th.
Now we're talking.
And on the 29th, go see Death Before Dishonor, a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. And the very next day, Collision. You can see 3 shows in 4 days. And tickets are on sale right now for all of those events at AEWTIX.com. I like the idea of a residency. And given that this is a pretty famous arena, I mean, I know that it's not the biggest arena, and it's not the most beautiful arena, and it's not probably the easiest to shoot in. And the backstage area will be a nightmare for the talent, I'm sure. But just when you think about the nostalgia of an arena like the 2300 Arena, it's probably one of the most famous in the world at this point amongst wrestling fans.
Amongst wrestling fans. And, when you talk about residencies, obviously you don't have to sell me on that. I've dealt with it off and on my entire career. TNA obviously is the, probably the one thing that jumped off, but, other quote unquote residencies were done by necessity or financial or whatever. But in a lot of ways, the Asylum, same building every week, it creates character. It creates a lot of uniqueness, same setting. I think there's a lot of upside that. And, to me, when you go back, and I'm going back several generations here, but the territory days when I saw something online recently of my grandmother created a booking sheet, and it talked about, Chattanooga TV, Huntsville TV, Nashville TV, they way back when, before Memphis was the only TV station we shot. And then we did the bicycle. In this territory alone, I think there were 6 TV outlets that they shot at. And in a lot of ways, it's like when you tune in, it just, there's breeds of familiarity, but all the history, I guess you could say the setting creates character and personality. And I think there's a lot of good storytelling to tell in residencies if done correctly.
I can't wait to see it. I'm going to plan to be there. I hope you'll make plans to join us. I can't wait for you to give somebody a guitar necklace. Like, I just want to freestyle. That weekend, do you think it might be possible for you to come out to New Jack's music, put a bandana on, bring a trash can full of weapons, dump some baby powder in your guitar, and hit somebody over the head? Like, I'm not asking you to jump off anything. Darby Allin will probably take care of that. But could we see New Jack Jarrett? Is that possible?
Yeah, kind of, I'd love to, but I'd like to get that guitar sponsored, and then maybe we, in this day and age, get the guitar sponsored, and then maybe get it OSHA approved, and go through what modern wrestling is to know. I'd love that, Conrad. Get
New Jack Jarrett would be fun.
You know what? I was circling back to that. There's a funny meme there.
If you push a shopping cart, if they play loud rap music, and you push a shopping cart out and they just play the song while you whip somebody's ass to a soundtrack, and you're dancing around doing your best New Jack impression, sign me up. I want to see it.
I would love to do that. Conrad,
we saw MMA Jarrett. Let's see New Jack Jarrett.
But you know what? But now with AI and all the silliness with the AI babies and the AI press conferences that they do, and we need to see a New Jack Jarrett AI guitar smash. We did.
AI, hell, you're from the South. You can get a bandana. I can get you one of my oversized Notorious B.I.G. shirts.
Let's do it.
Will you pitch that to QT or Sanjay? What's the chances we see New Jack Jarrett in the 2300 Arena?
Slim and none, but we can hope for it. I just disappointed you on this recording day, didn't I? Sorry.
It could be fun. I might hang up and call
Could
you.
be, seriously, it'd be a lot of fun. It would
So
be
good.
the audience. Anyway, that's another pod. How in tune they are with nostalgia these days. It's amazing to me in a great way.
Well, it's going to be fun, and I'm going to be there. I hope new Jack Jarrett's there, AEWTIX.com. Hey, let's talk about last night. We are on the heels of the biggest SummerSlam in history. No fooling, 113,000 tickets sold. That's what they announced. Don't kill the messenger. But there's no doubt that this is a revenue record for SummerSlam, right, Jeff?
Oh, when they announced 2 nights, it was, and Conrad, just look, we can get into ticket prices and packaging and what is their other vertical that they own? The
On location.
On location. Thank you. Yeah, just the on location and all the different revenue streams. Have they announced a number yet, Conrad?
No, not that I've seen. But
So
I'm sure it's going to be a record. I imagine they'll announce it tonight on Netflix. So by the time people are seeing this, they may know the number. But
it's gonna smash it, because just back-to-back nights. I mean, night one with ticket prices the way they are now, what other SummerSlam would have beat it? Night one, just night one. I don't think. I mean, I don't had it. It's got to be the most attended. Well, Wembley Stadium years ago, but ticket prices won't even come in the same.
I'm not saying the attendance is the greatest of all time.
No,
Maybe it is, but the revenue is.
No, I'm saying revenue just on night. Throw night 2 out. Revenue on night 1. Wouldn't that set an all-time record for revenue?
Probably.
Yeah,
I mean, yeah, definitely. When you factor in sponsorships and stuff, definitely.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. So night 2 is gravy.
And it does feel like, I heard Triple H did an interview last week. I think he said something like, we consider these big 2-night events almost like taking your family to Disney World. If you take a trip to Disney World, you don't just go one day or one night. You go and you stay a few days. So that's the reason they're doing SmackDown and 2 nights of the pay-per-views, and they're doing, NXT and WWE ID shows during the day. Plus they've got the Superstore popping up and live podcasts with The Undertaker. So they're making it a full WWE weekend and experience. And, Nick Khan, man, he's figured out how to merchandise that thing better than anybody else. We'll talk about the actual match stuff, but
so, my man Cody, my son Cody, SmackDown was where Friday, because I've got it. It feels like it all runs together. It doesn't matter, but it felt like in Cody's world, because it goes back to.
It was in Newark, New Jersey at the Prudential Center.
Okay, so in Cody's world, he started school today. So he was, we had school talk and all this kind of stuff. But Collision was on Thursday. He watched Collision, and he's into baseball now. But then Friday came along. But Conrad, and we did a lot of stuff together and around the house and hung and all that. But the kickoff show, wasn't it 2:00? Because I had got in and went back out and was doing some honey-do lists for Karen, but it felt like SummerSlam programming was on in his room or in the big room for, all weekend. And he, in his email blast, like night 1 winner email came out, and he showed us that he loves his jersey, all that, but the monetization and the instantaneous not reaction, but finger on the trigger, and wasn't it a Seth Rollins winner? So some kind of email blast that they put out right after the show that Cody showed us, and all the kickoff show. I'm going where you're going. That in my mind, yes, Disney World's one thing, but it's like 2-day events turned into 4-day events. It's this is where I'm patting the wrestling business on its back. Super Bowl, it's one big game. NBA playoffs, 2 games, hockey and all this, but what other kind of form of entertainment? And yes, you can have music festivals, but music festivals, I think, have a different aura, but this has 4 events back to back to back plus some. The wrestling business is so new, so unique. When a business person really steps back and looks at the opportunities that the business has from a global perspective, it is totally unique in the revenue streams and the monetization of it all, and the value of the industry in totality it's freaking amazing, dude. It really, really is.
What else is amazing is how hard you can get with our friends at Blue Chew. Time to enter the room, dick first. Blue Chew isn't just a tablet, it's a cheat code for your crotch. Stronger, harder, longer lasting. Like somebody gave your downstairs a pep talk and a gym membership. Blue Chew is the original brand offering chewable tablets for better sex. This isn't a supplement. This is an erection resurrection. Guys, this isn't just about performance. It's about legacy or third legacy. Give her group chat something to talk about. Nothing makes you more of a legend than a little Blue Chew. Discover your options at bluechew.com. We've got a special deal for our listeners. As always, get your first month of Blue Chew free. Just use the promo code MyWorld at checkout and pay $5 for shipping. That's it. Join Blue Chew's mission to upgrade humanity one thrust at a time. Head right now to bluechew.com for details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring Jeff's Wiener. And
right on, Connie.
Jeff, let's talk about the sponsorship here for a minute, because that is a big piece of Nick Khan's success, and certainly we've seen it. Man, it feels like there was a commercial for a TKO event or an on-location event, or I mean, they even had an eyewear, the official eyewear sponsor, and they never showed the glasses at all, just the logo, and did the read.
Rock movie 2 or 3 times. Cody literally talked about that ad.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying, like, everything's sponsored. You know, they've got Prime set up at the table, all the dasher boards, every match had an individual sponsor. They were on screen. They had imaging inside. It's printed on the ring. It's on every other turnbuckle. I think I know fans are complaining that it looks too corporate. Respectfully, so is the NFL, so is the NBA, so is NASCAR. If you watch any of those things, you can't. I mean, I play the NBA 2K game, and they've got ads on the dasher boards, you know, with the scorekeeper's table and things like that. It's like
in a video game.
But
yeah, my point. So, not to jump subjects, because you'll kind of see where I'm going with. I don't think you're a big baseball fan, but did you get a chance to just see the hype and build around the Bristol, Tennessee Braves Reds game at Bristol Stadium? Set a record, most attended.
Yes.
Okay. The monetization of that, and it's kind of it's very, to me, it's very interesting. Baseball, 162 games plus postseason. You know, there's a lot of games played, but they're in a lot of ways games. Well, it's my understanding the folks at Fox Sports said, hey man, you got to start making some events and take games from events. And you know, when you look at that chart on the menu, Conrad, we had several discussions on this, that how far ahead UFC is on sponsorship dollars. I was going to ask you, because obviously you can't help but not see official eyewear and just all that kind of stuff. Do you think because the chairman just had a mandate and a vision, and that's how he viewed things, that he wasn't going to sell that kind of real estate, you know, on the mat and all that? Like, why is it, Nick? Because things have exploded, and I think that's great for the industry as a whole, down to your local sponsorship level, literally down to that level. I think it's a great thing. So why now, or why not now? But because, man, hats off. The amount of revenue generated, sponsorship alone, like you said, that's going to put it over the top too.
Well, I don't know, but rumor and innuendo, I heard through the grapevine, not from an official WWE source, not from anyone who works there, that when this whole TKO thing happened, well, let me back up. If you recall, when Endeavor first purchased UFC, you know, they cleaned house and they got rid of the guy's ability to sell and merchandise and monetize the real estate on their fight trunks. So they all had the Reebok kits, and they brokered a deal, the UFC did, I guess it was actually Endeavor, to take everyone out of their NASCAR inspired, you know, like we all remember Brock Lesnar had Jimmy John's as a sponsor, and he had some sort of a beef jerky sponsor. Well, all of that went away with TKO, and it wasn't TKO at the time, it was Endeavor purchasing the UFC, because they had made their own deal. They also cleaned house on, you know, guys like Forrest Griffin and Matt Hughes, people who were supposed to be ambassadors like Chuck Liddell, who were going to be on the payroll forever. They got rid of all that. And it was written about a lot in the Observer because they had to service debt. And I know that sometimes our listeners, myself included, we think of debt as a bad thing, but a lot of business people see debt as a way to be strategic about not paying taxes.
It's a tax deal.
It's a tax deal. And so my belief, this is what I was told, I don't know if this is real or not, that WWE got a boatload of cash and a loan for the IP. So now they've got this incredible debt to service. But that was a bunch of cash that they don't have to pay taxes on. Now, if you're not following all that, let me just sum it up for you. You don't pay taxes on borrowed money. You pay taxes on income. But if your income went to pay loans, well, now it's not income. But if the loan went in your pocket, now who knows what really happened and what's really true and what's not? We'll see.
Mm.
But I've heard things like, and you maybe have heard this, it's really hard to get comps now in WWE. For years and years, guys like yourself or even me, I could text somebody and say, hey, I've got a friend in so-and-so. Can you get comps? Allegedly now, it all has to be approved by Nick Khan. And they look at the end of each show as an opportunity cost. Hey, we gave away X amount of tickets that had this face value. So instead of saying, hey, we had a full house, it's looked at now like, hey, we gave away $70,000 worth of tickets. So we're getting that granular, to use a term from you, about trying to maximize our revenue at every turn. And I think from a marketing standpoint, from a business standpoint, from a we're going to deliver shareholder value standpoint, they've monetized it better than anybody could have ever imagined.
Ari, we've talked about this a couple of weeks ago, and I still get feedback on whatever podcast that was, Conrad, that we really got in the weeds, that at the end of the day, the acquisition, and I'll use, not just Endeavor, acquisition of when TKO acquired WWE, the Northstar changed. It went from truly the Northstar being Vince McMahon and what he thought was good or bad, right or wrong for the business. Ultimately, because he owned 60, 70, 80% of the company still, every decision circled back to what Vince thought was best for the company. And during the acquisition, and this is the feedback, man, people have asked me all kinds of questions. Now it's, okay, what is truly best for Wall Street? It's not the fan. It's not Ari. It's not Triple H. It's not Rock. It's nothing other than what you just pointed out. They have to monetize, pay, make their payments. They got to run a business, a for-profit business. So every decision ultimately goes back to what's best for shareholder value. That is a radical change, my man. And that was something that, anyway, lots of chatter on that point alone.
I got to say, I've also been of the opinion that, well,
oh boy. Oh, that's a dramatic pause, folks. Get ready.
Sometimes people like to compare, right? And so they'll say, well, they sold this many tickets and tickets are down and blah, blah, blah. Like I saw Dave Meltzer over the weekend say, make no mistake, they got 74,000 in that building before. And of course, we're talking about East Rutherford, New Jersey, MetLife Stadium. Yes, in 2013 or 2019, whatever it was, they had a larger crowd. Respectfully, the ticket prices are way more now than they were for that show. The idea that a SummerSlam in 2025 has ticket prices that are higher than a WrestleMania in years past, it leads me to believe if they really wanted to sell every ticket, they could have lowered ticket prices and done that. But what business owner does that? At the end of the day, can we pay our bills with sellouts or do we pay our bills with dollars? So we're trying to maximize our dollars. Certainly, if we're a publicly traded company, when we look at the bottom line, do we want to say, now we could have made more money if we would have raised ticket prices, but we wanted to promote a sellout. That's hard to sell to people who've invested financially in your company. So I would venture a guess, nobody's told me that, but I would venture a guess that on some level, a guy like Nick Khan would take a look at a quick sellout and say, damn it. He'd be pissed that he sold out, because the idea that it sold out quickly means you left money on the table. And the only reason I say that is my experience in real estate. I've seen realtors who would brag about the fact that, hey, I had this house sold in under 24 hours. Call me if you want to sell your next house. Now that is true. Technically, they did sell it in 24 hours.
I see it on billboards, sold in under 30 days, or we buy it from you.
Well, that's a marketing gimmick, but it's all a marketing gimmick.
It's all.
It's all a marketing gimmick. But my point is, if something sells very quickly, it was underpriced. So when you see a realtor bragging about, I sold this house in 6 hours, what an educated person in real estate reads when they see that is, hey guys, check out how I fucked this seller right here. I mean, before people even had a chance to bid on it or see what it could be, because respectfully, and I'm not dumping on realtors, I'm just trying to explain. If you had a house listed for, and we'll just do an easy number here. I know houses cost more than this, but I just want to make it easy. If you're doing $100,000 home sale, which doesn't exist now in 2025, so don't get excited, but the realtor would usually make, we'll call it 3% on that deal. So if they get a full price offer at $100,000, they make $3,000. Now, if they make a full price sale at $110,000, they make $3,300. So the seller in that scenario makes an extra 10 grand, whereas the realtor only makes an extra 300. The realtor would rather have $3,000 today than maybe one day in the future get 3,300. So they would much rather just close the doggone sale, make their commission, and move on down the road to the next one. And that is why I'm saying I think TKO is probably disappointed with a fast sellout. They want people's wallets to bend but not break. Let's get them almost to the point where they can't afford it, and then we'll stop. And that's the reason you're seeing people complain about the ticket pricing in WWE, in my opinion.
Well, I think if you deduct this all the way down from Ari and Nick stewarding the ship, I think, Conrad, what I'm hearing you say, the absolute worst thing that can happen to a shareholder of TKO is here 2 words: sold out.
Yep.
Think about that, folks. Let that sink in.
Other people are really excited about bragging about a sellout. When you're a publicly traded company and you're trying to do big business, if you sell out, you want it to be about 10 minutes before the show starts. Not 3 weeks out, not a month out. You don't want to be the hardest ticket to get. You want to be the most expensive ticket to get.
And that is because I got, again, going back to the comments, we talked about it, Vince being the audience of old and shareholder value, the audience of new. That is a dividing line that I don't think people saw coming. That's the reality of today, though, across the board. It's very interesting. Very, very interesting thought process. Going back generations and promoters and, passing of Hogan. And I was thinking back, his relationship with my father and Jimmy Hart and Jerry Lawler and the Louis Tillett and coming up here and just kind of, I'm using, sellout after sellout after sellout when Hulkamania took off, record-setting business. It's interesting to see the conversation that we had last week and about Hulkamania and the amount of money it generated and what we're talking about today. They drew 113,000 people, and some folks are saying, damn, they bombed, and other folks, I don't know. It just, how good old wrestling conversations, you never ever know where it's going to go. You really don't. So,
I mean, I'm sure building managers love to hear sold out, but shareholders don't.
It's shareholders. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. By deduction, it's the last words, because I think in a way, I think Nick and Ari and those decision makers, they are part of that realtor, because I think your point being the realtor was, hey, they'd rather have that $3,000 and then boom, get on to the next sale, because then they can make another turn and another turn and another turn and kind of maximize their minutes and all that.
That's the equivalent of sold out.
Yeah. But I'm thinking only the shareholder. I'm going to, when you go all the way down to it, the shareholder is the one who probably 99% of the time wants a few tickets left because out there, because then they feel like, okay, we maximized it. We completely maximized. I'm having fun and picking here, but even a sellout the day of or an hour before, I bet you'd find a few shareholders who say, damn it, that's not right. we priced everything right. You know, I'm being silly here, but yeah, I hear you. It's fun to think about or have these kind of business discussions. I appreciate you, pal. That's good stuff.
Same, man. I love talking about the business of professional wrestling, and we are going to talk about the business of SummerSlam and certainly all of the matches. But before we do, I want to remind you that you can still make this the best season yet with nutritious 2-minute meals from Factor. You know, eating well has never been this easy. Just heat up and enjoy. That gives you more time to do what you really want to do. I'm talking about getting outside, enjoying this weather instead of prepping and cooking indoors. Factor meals, man, they arrive fresh and ready to eat. They're perfect for any active lifestyle. Jeff loves them. I love them. You will too. There's over 45 different weekly menu options, meaning they've got something for everybody. These are truly gourmet meals, as JR might say, restaurant quality, and they can still be factored to fit your goals. Meaning maybe you're looking to drop some LBs. Well, look for Calorie Smart. Maybe it's bulking season like it always is for Double J. Get that protein plus. Maybe you're trying the keto diet. Factor can even hook you up. They've got something for every lifestyle and all day. Yeah, Factor can hook you up with satisfying breakfast, on-the-go lunches, premium dinners. They've even got you hooked up with guilt-free snacks and desserts. What are you waiting for? Factor meals pack in the flavor, and you have none of the fuss, and all the boys are using them. You'd be surprised how many guys show up to TV with 2 bags. One's got their gear, their other's got their food. Get started right now at factormeals.com/myworld50off. Do what half of the wrestlers are doing and go to factormeals.com/myworld50off and use the code myworld50off. You'll get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. That's code myworld50off at factormeals.com/myworld50off for 50% off plus free shipping.
The best Factors. If you're a single guy, and I'm talking to you out there, single boys, single girls, if you will, you cannot go wrong, because if you want to eat nutritious, I had this conversation with my buddy Leo at the gym. I recommended it highly. He said, hey, I see your ads. I see you post them. Tell me about it. And I said, Leo, you're single? You know I am, Jeff. Then I said, get it. Just quit asking questions. You cannot. The amount of time it takes you to cook a single serving, even if you meal prep, I'm telling you, you're a lot better off. So I can't sing Factor praises enough. Every Tuesday, it comes to the king and the queen's house. Every Tuesday, the Factor delivery.
Check it out. You'll be glad you did. Jeff, let's talk a little bit about the headline news over the weekend. I want to start right with the biggest story, the one that everybody's talking about. After what a lot of people felt like were 2 nights of kind of paint by number shows, we ended night 1 with a surprise and night 2 with an even bigger surprise. One that was even teased the night before by Triple H, where he said, hey, if you enjoyed the night, wait till tomorrow. You ain't seen nothing yet. And boy, was he correct. We're going to talk about it and work backwards, but Brock Lesnar's back in the WWE. This comes after just a few weeks after Daniel Cormier said something into a microphone along the lines of, oh, Brock Lesnar's on the TKO banned list. Now, maybe that was planted by WWE Unreal. Maybe he knew. We know Cormier is tight with Lesnar. Or maybe this all just came together late. In the post-show last night, we saw Triple H basically lay out that this was John Cena's idea. He said something like, this is John Cena's wish list. John Cena's. It's him writing the last chapter of his book. And I think people saw a conversation with us where he said, we'd have to screw it up pretty badly to ruin his career. But it's not about that for me. It's about John being able to go out the way he wants to go out, to write his chapter. I know what that's like as a performer. I know what that's like for everybody to feel that. And I think for John to be able to do what he wants to do, one of the very first things I said to him is, who do you want and how? And we're working through that. This was a surprise for everyone, but boy, the conversation this morning, as I log on to social media, it is shock, but I wouldn't say it's excitement. A lot of people are pissed that Brock Lesnar is back. Andrew Dice Clay, who you and I have mentioned a few times before here on the program, he is, of course, international, so I don't think he saw it until this morning. But he actually pointed out he exposed himself to Terry Runnels. He groped Cornette's wife by the crotch. He broke into Rena's Marrow's house while she was still married to someone else. And he's named 44 times in a sex trafficking lawsuit. Now, I'm saying all that to say, clearly WWE felt like, well, this is no big deal. He wasn't criminally charged. I don't know what they're thinking, but I know he's back. And I know that there's a lot of people who are not happy about it. Even as we did a post show last night, we were sort of freestyling. Hey, who do you want to see who do you want to see Brock Lesnar wrestle next? I'm in full on wrestling mode thinking, well, he's back. What do they want next for him? I'll admit, I didn't know any of this stuff until Andrew Dice Clay pointed it out. I hadn't heard any of that stuff. Now, I knew about him being named in the lawsuit last year, but the other incidents, that was a blind spot for me. I had no idea. But it's all coming out now. Is this going to be a major PR problem for WWE, or are they going to take the UFC, I guess it's the TKO strategy of, hey, we don't care. We're marching on. We're moving forward. It just feels like this is a real about face. Like for years and years, it felt like WWE even tried to be apolitical. But last week we saw Triple H standing shoulder to shoulder with Donald Trump. I don't know that Donald Trump knew he was at his shoulder, but that doesn't matter. What do you make of all this, Jeff? This is hard to wrap my head around.
God, you just oh man.
Well, did you see? I mean, he looked left. He's like, oh, he's a great friend of mine, and he's looking all over. And then it's like, he's right there, bud. You could touch him. But anyway.
Okay. You know what? And we'll probably get into this. I had no idea. I knew we were going to talk some SummerSlam, and I didn't know topics. We've got 3 in the hole. We'll leave them unsaid today because we literally have 3 topics that we're going to get to. And all 3 of them, I've read the notes at least 4 times on one and 2 or 3 on each of the others. So we will get to it. But I didn't know where you're going with this. All right. First off, here is, and I'll get to Brock, but I mean, what's a little, I don't know, confusing in a lot of ways. It ain't confusing, but like the business continues to pivot and evolve, and we set records and continuous records. And, you look at, I mean, across the board, WWE, AEW, TNA had a good house, Mexico, we could go on and on. And so who am I to question anything? But the statement that Triple H made about, well, this is what John wanted. Why does that need to be said right now? I'm
fading the heat, brother. Come on, you know what he's doing.
Well, is he really? Because at the end of the day, I'm going back to, okay, fading the heat. But to me, it's funny how we're just segueing, and maybe you did this by design, that at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what Ari thinks. It doesn't matter what Rox think, or Nick Khan, or Triple H, or I hate to give the bearer bad news. It don't make a damn what the wrestling fan thinks. At least today, it's shareholder value. If Brock is going to move the needle on shareholder value, then everybody who signed up to get a check or get their checks consistently from TKO, they're on board with that as well. So it shouldn't come as a surprise, because that's who that is literally what they are making their business decision on. Brock is going to generate the most revenue for shareholder value. So with that being said, Triple H is already on board for this. He's fully supporting it, creative driven by it. And so why does he say, hey, it's a John decision? Huh? That to me, I'm not sure if that plays well to Ari and Rock and Nick, candidly. And then to the next layer, that the stuff that Ian and others and all the backlash and everything that, oh boy, they're doing this and doing that. And look, we've had all kinds of circumstances in our industry and other forms of entertainment. Hell, and shit, 9-to-5ers. There's always kind of legal ramifications in and out and in and out. At the end of the day, all the backlash, and I know this may sound simple, but like gotta love wrestling, because love it or hate it, as long as they're making comments about it, it's good for business. The worst thing that can happen is people not quit watching. And I just don't think that's going to happen because Brock appeared. It hasn't for the last 50, 60 years since it's been on television, 70 years been a televised product. This stuff generates ratings as opposed to diminished ratings. And then the presser, Conrad, that was what
Let me give you some context on that. Dave Meltzer reported last night after SummerSlam, 4 weeks ago, WWE Legal cleared him, talking about Brock Lesnar. And he speculated on the reasons for the clearance. And he's suggesting that WWE's legal team is either confident that the Janelle Grant lawsuit will go to arbitration, or that, Lesnar's not going to be in any sort of trouble. And he also says, I can tell you also factually that the reason they didn't do the press conferences was because of this angle. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about here is.
Now, Dave said factually, as opposed to I'm going to lie to you.
Let's set that aside for a minute, Bruce. What I'm trying to get at is Raj Giri has been waving the flag online, and he owned a huge wrestling website for years and years that all of our listeners are familiar with, Wrestling Inc. He sold it a few years back, and I like Raj. He is a competent businessman. He's a nice guy. I could have lunch and beers with Raj any day. I really think a lot of Raj, but he pointed out, hey, Brock has not been criminally charged. This is a civil lawsuit. There's not any sort of criminal circumstance here. Now, that may be technically true, and that's probably technically why he was cleared. But what I'm saying is the court of public opinion. Like, it does feel like for so long, the WWE was apolitical, and they would say things like get out the vote, but not really say, hey, vote this way or that way, because they didn't want to split their audience in half.
Yeah.
But it feels like this is a bit of an about face now, because just last week we saw Triple H shoulder to shoulder with Donald Trump, which there's no doubt he's a polarizing figure, perhaps the most polarizing figure in the entire world. So if you say, hey, I'm on Team Trump, you automatically alienate at least half of your audience, perhaps. But now when you see this piece come out, like, they've worked so hard to overcome the Vince stuff. Like, Meltzer was pretty clear in saying WWE Unreal, which we're going to talk about today, I'm sure, is a vehicle to remind everybody that he being Triple H is sort of the Dana White of the UFC, and the wrestlers are almost interchangeable. This is the guy who's really making it happen. Now, you and I had said for a while, he's positioning himself that way to remind everybody he's the new Vince McMahon. Vince is out, Triple H is here, it's a new regime. And for so long, it felt like he was almost catering to all the things that you didn't like about Vince. Triple H is going to go the other way. And I feel like that's why WWE enjoyed such a resurgence in the last few years. But it does feel like now maybe the worm is turning a little bit. Fans are complaining about the price of tickets. Fans are complaining about his association with Donald Trump. And now fans are complaining about Brock Lesnar coming back, saying, hey, you're turning a blind eye to some really terrible things. And they feel like, hey, that's the sort of thing that Vince McMahon would do. And they would cite other terrible examples that we don't have to rattle off, but everybody's got a list of reasons why, for whatever reason, they don't like Vince McMahon. And it felt like Triple H was going the other way. I don't really know how to make heads or tails of this. It does feel very Dana White, in that Dana White has been closely aligned with Donald Trump for a long time and taken the attitude of, hey, if you don't like it, don't effing watch. And I'm like, we're trying to deliver shareholder value. I don't know. How can we serve both masters? It feels weird, especially with the internet wrestling community. And I know some people are going to argue they're the vocal minority, but man, my timeline this morning is just flooded with anti-Brock Lesnar stuff. I foolishly asked, who would you like to see Brock Lesnar face in his return? And I'm getting people saying death, the U.S. court system. I mean, all kind of like, whoa, I was thinking Gunther, my bad. Where are you at on all this, Jeff?
Well, first off, I would love at some point, and then, maybe not, but like Vince being, what did you call it? Non-political, apolitical, like right down the middle. Okay. Like, he's definitely not the first promoter. My grandmother, again, don't discuss wrestling, religion, or politics. That was ingrained in my brain over and over and over. But when you would ask her a private conversation, she firmly believed, and I'm going to say I might have had 3, 4, like real in-depth political conversation with Dad, other than a passing, he could, I mean, he took my grandmother's mindset as well. So she gave it to him too, but she engraved in me is, she always truly believed in vote for the person as far as political, really get to know the issue. The only thing you really can and should do is vote. Other than that, you've got to do Jeff, take care of Jeff. And Teeny used to say, Teeny takes care of Teeny, and Teeny takes care of her family, and Teeny takes care of her business. Like that was like in her brain in so much. The thing that Conrad, I started asking, this is interesting in that, we'll call it the TKO, acquisition merger, and you had UFC and WWE. Now, I'm guessing that the UFC fan base is much more male. Boy, I'd love to have statistics, and I'm sure people out there much more male. They may lean much more to the right than your typical fan base. I'm saying football, basketball, baseball, soccer, whatever.
75%, Jeff. According to Vox, a further breakdown reveals 88% of these male fans are within the 18 to 44 range, but 25% of the overall audience is female, 75% is male, and 88% of those men are between 18 and 44.
Okay.
According to Vox.
Does it give WWE?
That's all I got.
Okay. So, was that WWE or UFC?
UFC. I thought you said UFC.
I did UFC. So what I'm saying is UFC may have the luxury or the ability, or maybe it's a strategic move that Dana caters to those males 18 to 44, knowing that they've done the research and they can afford, not just afford, it boosts their business. It creates revenue to lean that far to the right. Wrestling, I have always believed, who do we appeal to? The masses. Yep. Males, females, 3 generations. I've had these conversations with baseball folks, and the light bulb goes off to some lifer baseball guys. He goes, I really never looked at wrestling that way. I said, yes, there is so many stories. Yeah, man, how did I get started watching wrestling? Karen is another perfect example. Her parents did not, her dad was in the hospital business. How did she start wrestling? Saturday nights, Saturdays with her grandfather. So it's a 3-generation deal. So our demo's bigger, and I get the buying audience and all that. But I just believe MMA audience and professional wrestling audience are not any, you shouldn't say, they're just very, very different. And so it does shock me in so many ways that they've leaned so far to the right. And it would shock me equally if they started to lean so far to the left, either side. Get out of that, man. That's not good for revenue. I personally believe you're splitting your audience, and you've said this a bunch, and you always say it much more eloquent and articulate it much more meaningful. But, Conrad, I just don't see how it helps the shareholder value at all. That's the confusing part.
Yeah, I can't make heads or tails of it. And I'll admit, I watched last night as a wrestling fan, and I just foolishly assumed he wouldn't be here unless he'd been cleared. And I guess he was cleared by WWE legal, but the lawsuit still rolls on. To Roger's point, he hasn't been criminally charged. But I think, we said it last week, when we were talking about the passing of Hulk Hogan. Yep. Some people were more concerned about the optics of doing the right thing rather than actually doing the right thing. And I don't think it's necessarily fair to cancel a guy's career because of what some other guy's text said. Like, we don't know what Brock did or didn't do, but if we're trying to rally support and run a business, it does feel like these are the type of controversies we steer clear of at all costs.
Well, hold on. Okay, that's kind of where the leaning left and right is kind of truly, in a ways, and I'm not saying it's 100%, but it has the ability to kind of split the audience. Now, drill it down onto Brock. Do we believe that, let me think how to say, the anti-Brock folks are going to say, hell no, I'll never watch WWE programming again in my life. They brought Brock out. I'll never watch it again. Like, have they truly lost a fan?
Well, that's an interesting question. Dave Meltzer was asked last night, do you think this will affect sponsors? And Meltzer said no. So it might not actually affect business. So maybe that's why WWE made the decision to go forward. They don't care about being popular. They care about doing what's legal and makes the most money, which makes them a business owner.
So that's where I think we're talking about two different truly two different set of circumstances in that alienating the audience. And we all know religion and politics, it just cuts so much deeper. It's a completely different, it's like for moral fiber. It's everything that goes with it. So a political stance versus, I'll call it a single talent stance. I just think we're talking two separate things. And
I'm not talking about comparing whether either of those are right or wrong. I'm talking about how you may be eroding consumer confidence in your product.
Yes. Yeah. And I think the political thing has the ability to erode. Not saying it does, but it certainly has the ability to erode consumer confidence. But the Brock thing, I don't know.
Is your 2 cents that Vince McMahon, because we've all heard he's got a new company formed. We've heard from Eric Bischoff that I guess he heard through the grapevine that he's secured a studio in Santa Monica. We've also heard that he set up offices in Connecticut. We know there's a bunch of people who are working with him. We know he set up a few different corporations, including a holding company. So we know that he's getting ready. We know the name of the company. So we know he's going to do something, but nothing's been announced. And part of me was like, yeah, he's going to lay low until all of this legal stuff has a button on it. So I kind of assumed that's what was going to happen with Brock. Do you think, would you have done this last night? Would you have brought Brock back? Or do you think, and if you put your old school promoter hat on, it's cart before the horse, and we'd rather measure twice and cut once and let this get behind us and then figure it out? Now, I realize that the challenge here, the wrinkle is we got a finite amount of time with John Cena. So we might be sacrificing something creatively, but in the scheme of things, is that really that big a deal? What say you?
Connie, at probably 7:03 a.m., I was specifically asked that from Karen. She's like, what do you think? Would you have done that? And I said, here's what I am absolutely certain of. I've never had a conversation with the plaintiff or the defendant, none of their attorneys. I have zero. All I know is kind of what I've read or the online discourse. And I just know that's not anywhere. Shit, Conrad, we've both either been in or around legal circumstances that's where the real reality is. Hey, what's the judge said? What's the attorney said? What's the next steps? I just, Karen, I don't have anywhere close to the amount. I just have the very top line. If I'm sitting back as a wrestling fan and watch Cena tear the house down and the babyface pop that he came out, and I love the shift and the Cody and how good that was for him and to get that win and blah, 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 all that kind of stuff. You talk about over delivering as a character, not as a human, personal, whatever it may be. Shit, for business, and this is where it gets gray area. But I mean, when you saw him appear, it was okay. Here's what's coming next 3, 4, 5 months in Cena world. And I think, from a creative process perspective, isn't that what you're wanting to do? As Dutch Mantel used to say, give them the finish, close this chapter, and then preview the next one. It's a recipe for financial success.
Well, yeah. A recipe for eating good is Magic Spoon. I absolutely love Magic Spoon. I had 2 last night during SummerSlam. If you haven't already, what are you waiting for? Go try Magic Spoon's brand new high protein, 0 sugar cereal and treats. These taste just like the ones you grew up on. You can actually taste the nostalgia, but without all the sugar and with a ton of protein. And they just rolled out this year a brand new high protein granola. And true to the Magic Spoon promise, it's packed with protein and oh so crunchy. The high protein treats you've heard me bragging about, man, they're crunchy, they're crispy, they're airy. It's an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. They come in mouthwatering flavors like marshmallow, chocolate, peanut butter, and dark chocolate. My favorite is double chocolate, and I smashed it yesterday. I love it so much. I even got our gimmick attorney on it. He's heard me brag about it for years here on the podcast. He finally tried it, and he sent me a text with a photo of the empty Raptor. And he said, you son of a bitch, you did it again. This is fantastic. Go try it. And by the way, you're going to love Magic Spoon's brand new granola packs. They've got 13 grams of protein and 0 added sugars. More delicious flavors, though, like dark chocolate almond, honey almond, and even peanut butter. Get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/myworld, or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/myworld for $5 off. So, Jeff, listen, we've talked a little bit about all the controversy with Brock Lesnar, but I think we should remind everybody how we had to get there. One of the more interesting things I've ever seen in wrestling, we threw away a 6 or 7 month angle in one promo on Friday night to clear the way for Brock Lesnar's return after John Cena has told us all for months that he was in a toxic relationship with us and that he was going to ruin wrestling forever and that he was with the greatest heel the business has ever known, the final boss. He said, never mind. My bad. I'm still a good guy and I'm sorry. And there won't be any platinum rappers slapping your ass. It'll be me. So no more Travis Scott, no more Rock. Pretend like I never was a bad guy. I'm a good guy again. I thought that was a little weird, but I am glad this feels like it was the right answer all along. But I don't think I've ever seen someone abandon ship on a storyline like this ever before. At the time, this was a major moment. I mean, it probably had hundreds of millions of impressions by the time it was all done, after you count all the different social media touch points. The John Cena turn had people really, really excited. But boy, it fizzled out worse than a fart in church. Is this the biggest fumble in recent modern WWE booking? Where does it rank all time with just a bad idea? Just a straight up about face. Hey, our bad. That sucked. Let's move on.
Now, Connie, if our good producer there had on a nice, like old school gray-haired white wig and a nice black robe, and he was the judge, do you think we could have gotten from the other side, leading the witness, objection, think we could have gotten that out of him, pal? Mr. Silva, can I see a 2-shot, sir?
What do you mean?
Well, you said, implying that I needed to rank this as one of the biggest fumbles of all time. Just jumping the fence that you already assume that I.
Oh, you like the creative. Okay, great. You love the promo. Our bad. Sorry about the last 6 months.
So
Can you imagine? Let's just pretend for a minute, 6 months into Hulk Hogan's turn. He just comes out in the red and yellow and says, my bad.
Hold on, damn it. Hold on. What did Cody say prior to Mr. Cena coming out? We'll have a little fun here.
I don't know.
He basically said, I want to beat the real John Cena.
Yeah.
Oh, you're not buying this at all. I can tell by the look on your face. So let's play this out. Had Cody beat the heel version of Cena, where does Cena go from there? Could Brock gonna go on out and lay his ass out?
No, that's what I'm saying, Jeff, is that they had to turn him babyface so Brock could come back.
Okay. So in essence, they pivoted.
What I'm suggesting is they threw away one of the greatest opportunities of all time, because we have clamored as wrestling fans for more than 10 years to turn him heel.
Yep.
And they threw it away because old Helicopter Rock had a bad idea and they didn't follow through on it. That's a fact. That's what happened. And then they decided to integrate a celebrity who really had no intentions of actually learning how to wrestle or put on a good match. And they just butchered what was the biggest WrestleMania gate of all time, is going to be remembered as one of the worst WrestleMania main events of all time. And it's not because of Cody and it's not because of John Cena. It's because of shit creative. And they started something they couldn't finish. And so this is Dungeon of Doom level now, to me, level of bad. Okay. Now I know that there's good revenue there, but I'm saying they fumbled it because they wanted to accommodate The Rock, and now they had to work their way out of it. And so they just said, hey, our bad, we're sorry, to accommodate Brock Lesnar. Am I wrong? Is that not what happened?
Well, what I don't know, wasn't in the room, and you may know more than me.
I don't know either. We're all just guessing. I'm a smart ass wrestling fan.
Okay. I love this kind of conversation because I got a few texts on that as well. And I asked specifically after I got a text, I said, Cody, what do you think? And I'll just say, do you know what Cody walked out of his room last night after the finish? said to me, Conrad, I wish I had it on tape just to share with you. Dad, that's a biggest bunch of bullshit. What's that, Codes? You're dropping a curse word on me. Dad, don't start with me. It's bullshit. Well, Codes, give it to me, because I didn't know if he was going down the Brock route.
Right.
Dad, John Cena should have won that match. Now, you know how much he loves Cody Rhodes.
Yes.
Absolutely loves Cody. Cody sent him 2 or 3 videos over the last couple of years. Cody's been very good to my Cody in ways I can't even describe here. But he got emotionally invested, and it was all off the promo on Friday. He kind of got hyped up for that. So anyway, but I'll get off the Cody Angle kind of train of thought is in that, Conrad, I think the pivot always takes place. I want to applaud Cena, his promo ability, the turning of the dime. They took, and look, you said it's fact. I don't know what went on with Ari and Rock. And look, at the end of the day, the Dungeon of Doom level creative that you're referring to is, I'll agree to disagree in that shit. All the views you put over and this and that, and it gave him a direction this summer that was kind of new and a fresh coat of paint. Now he's got hammer balls to the walls. What are we, August? So September, October, November, December, 3 or 4 or 5 months of his true swan song. He's probably got a couple of opponents laid up. I'm not so sure when the decision was made, and I'll never know that. It's none of my business. But I just kind of want to put over Cody and Cena and the pivot.
Oh, the match was fantastic. I'm not arguing that.
I'm not just saying just the match, just kind of the whole dynamic, because at the end of the day, mission accomplished. And Cody beating heel Cena or beating babyface Cena, what got him? What was the true passing of the torch? What better scenario? I'm just not near as down on the flip and whatever, I'm calling it leading of the witness and biggest fumble of all time. I have a hard time going there.
Whoa. Hang on. I'm suggesting from the very beginning, John Cena should have never turned heel.
Oh, are you?
I think from a business if he was, I'm not saying never. I mean, this year, you don't announce, hey, I'm leaving forever, guys, and you print up merch for every town. Because if you recall, when he was making those appearances internationally, they had unique merch for every tour stop. Every tour stop has had a gang. Like conventional wisdom would say, why would you make our most popular guy, our biggest merch seller of the last 20 years? Why would you make him a guy who you don't want to buy his merch now in his last year? If anything, we would do better just selling it. I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, you better have something great to overcome what we all kind of wanted. But I think I always assumed he would turn face by the end of the year. He's not going to retire as a heel. So I thought we would always get there. But it's hard for me to get behind. Last time we saw The Rock last year, he was talking about Mama Rhodes and bloodying up Cody Rhodes and, saying you don't F with the final boss and blah, blah, blah. And then he comes out in January and is like shouting him out. Oh, this guy's carried the company on his back. And I loved seeing your little girl at the movie premiere. And Cody's a good guy. And let's go toast afterwards. And then 1 month later, I want your soul, boy. And I'm going to cut your throat. And I'm going to kick you in the nuts. And so it's like, oh, shit. Okay, we're going to get something at WrestleMania again. Nope. It's like it's the most half-baked, half in, half out. Okay. There's a power struggle behind the scenes, and it's trickled down. And I think John Cena's farewell tour, to me, was a total fumble based on this stutter step of being a heel. And it's like, wait a minute. If we had a great idea, we should see it through. We didn't just not have a great idea. We didn't have any fucking idea.
Now, hold on a minute. When did he switch heel? April? Would that be?
No, February. The end of February. Elimination Chamber.
Yeah, okay. And then Travis Scott had his 2.5, 3 minute entrance.
He's still walking to the ramp. He's still walking to the ring right now. Fiend. It's the fucking worst. It's bullshit. The match they had last night is the match they should have had at WrestleMania. That's what we wanted. Babyface Super Cena against Babyface Super Cody. That's what we wanted, and we didn't get it. So, like, if you're going to go Cena heel, go fucking full tilt, but we didn't. And it was a fumble. Like, there's no way anybody can say, No, I think that WrestleMania main event went exactly according to plan. That's the way we drew it up. No, it's not.
You just said
Don't
something
bullshit us.
I want to pick up on. You said should have gone full tilt Cena heel. What's that look like? I mean, just roughly, didn't he go full heel?
But hang on. When The Rock says, "I want your soul, boy," and he gives a sign to John Cena, did you assume, oh, well, we'll never see The Rock again after he said that?
No, okay. Rock not being around is the cog that I believe everybody had the expectation of, okay, Rock's in for the next 3, 4, 5 months, at least drive-bys and being there, all this. Him not being in the story, is that what you're might be alluding to as the biggest fumble of all time? Him not being around?
He either A, don't make John Cena a heel in the first place, or B, pay it off. And what I mean with pay it off is John Cena should have turned on The Rock to become a good guy.
Okay. Do you think that we're in August? Do you think we will see Rock Cena before the year's up?
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. That mean
if we were going to see Rock Cena, he wouldn't have turned face again. My opinion.
Oh, you don't think Cena can beat up Rock and close his career?
I don't think that'll happen. No.
Would you want to see that?
Yeah, that's where I thought the story was going to go.
Right.
Is that eventually Cena would be like, well, hang on, I'm not. And so he turns on The Rock. And so maybe it would have been a tag situation where it's Cena and Rock against Cody and Roman. Say, I'm just freestyling.
Yeah.
And then something happens. But at this point, allegedly, we don't know. But the way Cody left last night and just gave John Cena the stage, I believe the rumors that he might be going to make a movie. The fact that Roman Reigns opened the show on night 1 makes me think he's probably leaving to go make a movie too. We've heard it's the Street Fighter movie. So if they're going to be on the shelf for a little bit, they're not going to be part of these chess pieces. And I feel like if Rock was going to be around, that would have been part of it. Now there's a chance I'm way off because I think they've got a big event coming up in November in San Diego. Hey, maybe that's going to be it. Maybe there'll be a War Games and there will be some sort of payoff. But I just assumed when The Rock started the storyline and he was the guy who influenced John Cena to be bad, then it would have to be John Cena turning on him to join the good side again. Not just a promo saying, hey, my bad, 2 days before Brock Lesnar comes back, 2 days before the main event. It didn't make any sense. I think Cena fans internationally and Cena fans who've gone to see him on his farewell tour wanted to celebrate Super Cena. They wanted to buy their merch. They wanted to wear their never give up stuff, blah, blah, blah. And I would have never turned John Cena heel in his last year because that's not what we want. Like I remember when Kobe Bryant did his farewell tour, he announced, and we all knew this is Kobe's last time in Atlanta. This is Kobe's last time in whatever. People wanted to go show respect to Kobe, but they didn't show him on the big screen before the game started saying, just want you Atlanta fans to know I hate every effing one of you. Like they didn't do that because they wanted to sell all the Kobe merch they could that night. So I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything about wrestling, but it feels like there wasn't a plan and we're flying by the seat of our pants. And it makes me think there's probably a power struggle at the top between Rock, between Ari, between Paul. I don't know. Maybe I got it all wrong. Maybe everybody's back there is hunky-dory and they love it. And they're like, this is exactly the way we drew it up. I just have a hard time believing that this is the story they envisioned. But you do. You loved it. You thought it was great.
No, what I'm saying at the end of the day, it's professional wrestling. For better or worse, it is Memphis TV every Saturday morning. Let's figure out you're only as good as the last show you produced. Again, Conrad, who knows what really went into all of it? At the end of the day, we're talking about it. We've been talking about it. They have been setting records. Nothing's perfect. And at the bottom line, pal, what do I say? It's all subjective.
I'm not arguing that at all. And what I'm saying, even though it doesn't sound like it, is I'm heaping praise on them for pivoting.
Yeah.
Hey, this shit ain't working. We got to try something else. And I would have liked to have seen them get there a different way, but I understand why they did it the way they did because Brock's coming back. I'm giving high fives all around because I think we all would say, hey, this John Cena heel turn sucks. It could have been better. It's not what we expected. It's not what we hoped for. Let's pivot. But I feel bad for Cena this morning because now everybody's pissed off about his next opponent. Like this John Cena tour feels fucking snake bit, Jeff.
Brock's got heat, brother. Big time. But
Yes, he does.
well, and that's where it's, the Zuckerberg, Elon grabbing the headlines over and over and over and over and over and over. Like, I don't know if while we're on the air as we're recording, like the search, like what's the most searched wrestling names today, or just most searched on the internet, like those kind of things, like getting in the news and the water cooler talk and the buzz around everything. I gotta believe that all of that is in the top, and history will tell you that ain't a bad thing now, because you can throw in some bad things and the legal ramifications of it and maybe the political, but man, oh man, the world is a buzzing about it, right? We're sitting.
Oh no, listen, I was excited to see Brock Lesnar last night, but I'll admit I was thinking as a wrestling fan who just was a fan of Brock Lesnar, and for a little while it kind of wasn't front of my mind of all the things and all the reasons and what the reaction is, and whether you agree with it or you don't agree with it, no matter what it is. I feel like this John Cena farewell tour is mired in a little bit of controversy now. And I would have liked to have seen Cena go out
I got you
in a different way. And I think in an alternate universe, they could have had a fantastic plan for 12 months. And I'm not saying that it won't end fabulously. I'm sure it will.
It will.
And it will all work out, and they're going to set records along the way. But just, man, when we should all be celebrating John Cena, we're talking about the bullshit controversy instead.
Oh, big time. But that's today. Like, things will change, no doubt. Look, they've pivoted once, they'll pivot again. It's part of wrestling. It's, Conrad, we're sitting here kind of, I don't know. We're chatting about, in so many ways, just the reality of professional wrestling. It is, Michael Jordan, his exit, his swan song was with the Wizards, the Washington Wizards. And that was, you talk about a mired retirement, and I'm not comparing apples to apples, but, life. Oh, boy.
Well, life does happen. And
beat up by you today. No,
why?
I'm kidding. No, just, yeah, man, oh man.
Well, I can't wait to talk about Unreal. We're going to talk about Seth Rollins, but first, let's talk about saving some money.
Right on.
All right, folks, take a look at this chart right here. What we're seeing is that the percentage of disposable income that's really just going for debt service here in America is like 11.28%. It's been climbing ever since the pandemic. And what that means is folks are spending a lot of the money they earn today to pay for bills they ran up way back when. Is that you? Are you carrying credit card balances right now? Well, I want to encourage you, stop taking out new debt at really crazy high interest rates. And instead, let's start using some of that equity in your house. Someone who did exactly that was my man, Justin. He's an auto sales manager there in Knoxville, Tennessee. He was looking to do a little home remodeling, and he kind of liked the idea of getting rid of some debt. Well, check out these before and after photos. Justin actually used the equity in his house to turn his home into his dream home. Yeah, and on top of that, we paid off all of his debt, and he even got to skip 2 house payments. Like right now, if you haven't already, you don't have to make your July or your August payment. You're done until September 1st. And come September 1st, you could be saving a boatload of cash. Just ask Justin. He upgraded his house. He got rid of his credit card debt, and he's going to save $1,000 a month. How do you make your house nicer and get rid of your credit card debt and save money? It's easy. You go to savewithconrad.com. You let my team run the numbers for you for free, just like we did for Justin. By the way, there's no cost, there's no obligation, and if we can't help you save some cash, we won't waste your time. So what are you waiting for? It costs nothing to look. And by the way, if you've been looking to see what rates are doing, let me put your peace of mind in play here. We've got a year 3 guarantee here at savewithconrad.com. All the experts seem to agree that interest rates are going to improve over the next few years. Well, I don't want you to miss out on that. So here's an opportunity for you to go ahead and start saving as much money as possible right now but not waste money later. When interest rates improve, we'll throw you another refi without charging you a whole new set of lender fees. So you're going to save on closing costs later, but you'll start saving money today at savewithconrad.com. NMLS number 2129, equal housing lender. And again, you don't need perfect credit. So even if you've had some troubles in the past, you need a plan. We want to be your mortgage advisor for life. Give me a shout at savewithconrad.com. You all right, Jeff?
Got me. I need more coffee. No. Oh, good, pal.
Let's talk about Seth Rollins. First we should talk about CM Punk. A lot of discussion about CM Punk and Gunther online. Very different opinions. I saw some people comparing it to Flair Steamboat 89, and I said, hey, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I saw others saying it was a 5-star affair. I saw Dave Meltzer say he thought it was a very good match, and I can't wait to see how many stars he gives it. Brian Alvarez went the other way. He gave it like 3/4 of a star. He, as they used to say on In Living Color, hated it. What did you think of Brock Lesnar? I'm not Brock Lesnar, CM Punk and Gunther. I saw a complaint that said they felt like it went too long.
So, but my thing was, I'd be sitting here lying if I told you I watched it all.
So you didn't watch? You didn't finish the match?
I came back to it when Cody's a good. He's a heck of a tag partner, Conrad. It felt long. It just felt to me. It just felt real long. Saturday afternoon, a little bit of a lake day for a little bit. And Conrad, I told you you'll never guess what I did. So one of my daughters moved moving boxes, which was a domino effect of another daughter. And then Karen started moving a box of pictures. And Conrad, we opened up Pandora's box right now downstairs. And I don't know if you saw Karen's story on Instagram. I actually sent it to you. But Karen, all of the Double J tights are spread everywhere downstairs. And so I did have a lot going on. Conrad, the short tights that the first pair of tights I ever had, she dug those up. There's some real gems in some of my outfits. I found some old t-shirts. Nonetheless, I took a break during the Punk's deal and went downstairs, and Cody came downstairs with his phone, and I think that's how, as it got down toward the end. It was long. It felt really, I was surprised. Karen's exact words, Cody, are you sure? Did your recording stop? That match is still going? And he said, yes. How long did they go, Conrad?
30 minutes.
No, the match was 30?
30 minutes, 19 seconds.
That feels real long. Really, really long.
It was the longest match on the show. I mean, night 2, Cody and Cena went longer. They went 37. So the main events were 30 minutes night 1, 37 night 2.
I wonder why they asked Punk. I wonder what that was for. I mean, totally. That just feels very, very, very long. 30-minute match for those two.
Don't you think Punk has always, going back to his Ring of Honor days, he's seen a lot of value in the longer matches, like some of his heroes probably went long?
Maybe, but I'm not saying that.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just guessing.
Yeah. That's a guess. That just feels, it felt long the other night because I watched probably the first 4, 5, 6 minutes. And then, no. So I don't have a complete context on that, but I know that was a very long match.
What did you think of Seth Rollins cash in?
I love kind of the gut reaction. Look, when it first happened on the Saturday night's main event and people were, oh, that's real. I don't know. Maybe as a performer, I went back and kind of watched that because, that was the night of All In, right? Yeah. Anyway, the online, I was sitting on the runway in Dallas Sunday morning. Like, it's a storyline. Good for all involved because they, I think, did what they needed to be done and stretched the storyline and went into the elaboration of this and that, all that. I mean, I think that's what our business is about, is suspension of disbelief. So whether he was really hurt or not, I don't care. I don't think it really, it's our business, man. There's so much hypercritical part of it. When his music hit and he came out, and it was compelling TV because, and maybe that is, and I said that the other night, that maybe this is why they had him go so long, because finally Punk won and he's laying in the ring and the emotional investment, and it's over and we're closing the show this way, and then boom, it hits. It added to the drama.
It was on the Richter scale. Did you see that?
What?
Yeah.
On the Richter scale.
Yeah, it was a 3.0 earthquake in New Jersey.
Oh, get out of here.
No, I'm not making that up. There it is.
There it is. Magnitude 3.0 earthquake, Hasbro Heights, New Jersey. Okay. How about that?
So I'm saying it got a response, but what's interesting is the online response has been, one of two things. Because I said, hey, I thought it saved the show, not just a great main event, but the actual cash in, because it was a surprise. Yeah. And I felt like, respectfully, we're all looking for moments. And what was your SummerSlam moment? And prior to that night, don't get me wrong, there were great matches. There was great stuff that happened. I think the big splash from Logan Paul on the Jelly Roll, I mean, hey, that was a big deal, and it's going to go super viral, and people will talk about it, and it'll be a moment. But will it be something that wrestling fans remember for a long, long time, or is it something for non-fans? I think the latter. So Punk's win in that particular arena, given his history there with the 2013 WrestleMania, where he felt like he should have been in the main event and it was taken from him, and he was stuck with The Undertaker. I do think that was a real moment for Phil Brooks, and I loved that moment for him. But having it spoiled by a surprise with Seth Rollins, I think makes it fun. But I saw people online saying, oh, same old shit. I'm tired of the cash-ins. This wasn't a surprise. We all knew it had been leaked. And then I saw other people saying, hey, that's bullshit. You shouldn't try to work us on an injury. We want to know if he's injured for real. It's like, I kind of think, hey, I'm in the camp of, hey, work me. I want to suspend my disbelief. I want to believe. I want to be surprised. And I heard from people I haven't heard from in over 20 years that used to be my wrestling friends, but they saw this show and they loved it. And Derek Sabato, who works with us over at podcastheatwrestling.com, he tweeted out this morning, the issue with wrestling media is, number one, you announce an impending return or debut, and the reaction is, why spoil this? Why can't you let things happen? Or number two, you don't break a major return or debut, and the reaction is, these people don't know anything, worked again, waste of money. So you can't serve both masters. You got to figure out what it is. People are going to complain either way. As long as they're engaged, that's what matters. I, for one, liked the Seth Rollins work, and I know it's going to be a big part of Unreal. I mean, I love the way they had Becky add to the realism on her Instagram, just showing him hopping around on the crutches. And I think it's good stuff. I appreciated it. I enjoyed it. Some people online are upset about it, but I think those people will still watch. They're engaged, right?
Oh, yeah. Well, that's where, I mean, I hate to give because it feels so cliche-ish, but it's like, do you go to a movie and like, son of a gun, you mean to tell me Superman did or whatever? I mean, you can fill in the blank on Hollywood stuff, and then they'll get the argument, but this isn't Hollywood, this is wrestling. And if you're mad that that the story, like it is, makes your brain just kind of go, what? You're mad that you got worked? Wait, you're watching professional wrestling. That's the essence of it. It's like, but it's society. How did social media get so misguided in that you missing the whole point of it? And I saw that too. I saw that Sunday at the gym, that people were upset that some were saying, I got you. Others were saying, I can't believe they did that. I'm like, are we really? I felt stupid after reading so many of those silly comments. It's like, isn't that in essence what wrestling is all about?
Yes.
Anyway, it's
I was channeling my inner Stone Cold as I was scrolling through social media that night. I kept looking at the tweets where people were pissed off or disappointed, and I kept going out loud, what? Because it just didn't make any sense. I can't make heads or tails of it. We went long today talking about everything but our topic. So I do want to ask you before we get going here, the other thing that everybody's talking about is Karrion Kross. Karrion Kross has been a polarizing figure. It's interesting because I don't know if you saw, but at the post show last night on night 2, the entire crowd was chanting for Karrion Kross, and Triple H had to turn around and acknowledge it. There's a report that his contract is due this month. Conveniently, he's got a book that's coming out, I think this Friday, and I can't help but think, since allegedly he's been one of the top merch sellers and his merch has been flying off the shelves, the idea that he's leaving to me is a little silly. And I wonder, is this going to be another storyline for Unreal to just showcase how brilliant Triple H is? And maybe we will see him perform in TNA. Maybe we'll see him perform in AAA on the 16th at Triple Mania. Maybe we'll see him pop up at a WWE ID like GCW show. I think there's an opportunity for him to pop up in a few different places and continue to, build this legend and this legacy. And I don't know, Brian Pillman 2.0, whatever you want to call it, with this loose cannon thing, if that's the direction he's going. But it does feel like a large portion of the internet wrestling community is not a fan of his in-ring work. And maybe they like his promos and they see that he's got some fanfare and they see he's selling merch. And I made the correlation last night with Derek Sabato. Maybe he's the Michael Hayes of the Freebirds and he needs to find his buddy Roberts, because I don't think anybody can deny that he has a huge fan base. And you and I know have had the good fortune of meeting the real life Kevin. I mean, you felt so highly about him. You featured him in some of your Global Force shows. So we're both big fans of his, but there is a segment of the internet wrestling community that just, I guess they voted and they decide they don't like him, which I find is mysterious. And I would challenge those people to meet him in real life. But what would you do with him next? Like, what do you expect him to do next? What do you think is next for Karrion Kross?
Well, the evolution of any character development. Yes, day one in Kevin, almost. I think Kevin had been wrestling a year, maybe not that. Vegas, he actually picked me up one time on one of the tapings out there in Vegas. But I just thought he's a charismatic guy.
Yes.
And getting reps is not just his issue, but multiple folks' issue as they're breaking in, and reps after reps after reps. I do think you touched on something that his aura and his
yes,
he has the ability to communicate. So there is a lot of wrestlers that go back generations that, man, they could work their ass off, but just didn't quite have the promo skills. Well, it's no different than Kevin. Kevin might not be your best 5-star storyteller, high flyer, X division kind of deal, but he can tell stories. So, okay.
Neither was Hulk Hogan, by the way.
Well, that we don't, man, oh man, let's don't get into that. But yes. All right. Then let's put him in a trios kind of circumstances. And I think you could really create some magic there, because their presentation is saying there is Scarlett. You just said it. It gets attraction. Now, did you say he has a book coming out this Friday from WWE?
I don't know if it's from WWE Publishers. I don't believe it is.
Wink, wink. Got it.
No, I'm being sincere, but it's on Amazon if you want to check it out. Life is Fighting. It comes out today. As you're listening to this today, August 5th, you can pick it up on Amazon. Kevin Robert Kaiser, WWE superstar Karrion Kross. Life is Fighting is the name of the book, and you can pick it up right now on Amazon as you're listening to this.
Interesting.
Such a heck of a nice guy, and the crowd's with it. Like, you remember when we were talking about Ric Flair's last match, I was like, dude, I'm getting this guy.
Yep.
We had him on our show on a Sunday, and man, he was back on SmackDown on Friday. That's where he belongs. He's selling merch. Like, I think the Boo Birds who are, I don't know, work rate mobsters. It's a little silly. Like, dude, people care about that guy. And that's the hard part. Like, that's the hard part, making people care.
Well, and it's the only part that matters.
Yes.
I hate to say that. Yes, it is. But, Conrad, kind of the people that we'll call it the work rate, you call them the work rate mobsters. Is it the same group that some people you're just never going to be happy? You're never.
That's fair.
That's it. But as long as they're chatting and talking and looking at, I just think that the the end-all be-all barometer at the end of the day. Black ink, red ink. We've said it a million times through this show, and sometimes people might get misguided and think, oh man, online discourse is the number one, or whatever it may be. That's why I always kind of go back to, you don't get immediate numbers sometimes, ratings or financial, and you can have this night on TV or this set of circumstances or this venue or so many different things. If you have a good ear, go out and listen to the crowd's reaction. They really are, if you have a trained ear, the best barometer.
And the crowd is with him, man. I'm pulling for him. What do you think of my idea? It's the old Paul Heyman, accentuate the positives, hide the negatives. If you put him with a guy who's incredible bell to bell, maybe he's a high flyer, he can do all kinds of crazy stuff. I don't know. But maybe he's not the best talker.
Look at Mike. Yeah, sorry to jump on you, but Michael had a big Terry Gordy and a Buddy Jack, and I'm not saying there's teams in history when you kind of look at it. So what's Kevin need? He probably needs a big heavy, and he probably needs a guy that can, flat out go. Yep.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens. I'm looking forward to it. I'm pulling for him. I think they are terrific people, and I can't wait to see what's next. And I can't wait to see what you think about Unreal. Have you had a chance to see the whole series? I know you're not usually a TV watcher, but it's wrestling content, and you're a self-confessed wrestling junkie. Have you had a chance to binge episodes 1 through 5 of WWE Unreal?
I have not. And Karen's like, you ain't gonna watch it. I said, honey, you've observed me. I've done baseball, I've done gaming, I've done wrestling, I've done home stuff. So I'm gonna watch it on plane rides. I have not. Obviously, I've seen a few clips here and there. I saw the Meltzer comment. I saw others comment. There was discussion last week at TV. What is the fine line? And I think that was what I said from the beginning is
all in the edit is what you said.
All in the edit. So your first blush, what's your thoughts on the edit?
It's a reality TV show.
Yeah. And there you go.
I saw people getting all over Bruce Pritchard. Let me set up the scene for you. They're doing the debut of Monday Night Raw on Netflix. And as you know, Rock went off script and went too long. And so when something goes long in a show, in the middle of the show or the open of a show, when something goes long, what happens to everything that follows it, Jeff?
Juggle, got to subtract. How are we going to do it? And it's pressure cooker time.
And the main event, as you'll recall, was Seth Rollins and CM Punk, a story they'd been building for months and months and months and months. And allegedly, they needed to cut some stuff. And Bruce had Netflix in his ear, I'm sure, and they needed to hit their times. And there's a narrative out there, that we can go as long as we want. And I get that why people think that, but the reality is if there's an agreement and there's an understanding and this is the plan and this is what we're doing, I think Dutch Mantel would say, this is the play we're running, go run the play. So when the show starts to run long, Bruce is kind of communicating and trying to keep that on task with our pal, Abyss, Mr. Chris Park. And as you know, by nature, Chris Park, I don't think I'm betraying any confidences, is a real life people pleaser. He wants to make everybody happy. And I think he was being a little over the top about it on that particular day. And when they see Bruce sort of brooding over, hey, we're going long, people are all over Bruce about him trying to make sure the guys were hitting their time. And of course, he's communicating that to the match producer. And then afterwards, when Chris is like, how was it? Is that okay? And we cut a lot of stuff out. It was we cut like 2 minutes out or whatever it was. Bruce said something along the lines of, it was over time, it was overproduced, it was over everything, but it doesn't matter. It's over now. It was a great show. And I think Chris still needed some more reassuring. And it was Regal who stepped up and said, hey, it was great. You did a good job. Don't worry about it. Be happy with yourself. And Chris was like, I am, but I'm trying to make this man happy. And the internet decided, Chris is looking for the hug. And Bruce is a heel and he's a piece of shit. And it's like, wait a minute. I was never in the gorilla position. I mean, not during a show. I've walked through there before the show, but I've never been there during a show. But I can only imagine how Vince ran gorilla. And Bruce saying, hey, we're over. We got to cut something. What are we doing? We're running long. I can only imagine what that was like with Vince with the volume turned all the way up. And I just know I've never worked with Chris, but I've heard that he was always just a people pleaser. Like, hey, how was that? Is that okay? He wants to do a good job. That's really important to him. That's a great trait. But he's probably at times maybe a little much with it. And so just knowing Bruce, I'm sure Bruce was like, it's over now. It doesn't matter. If you've listened to Bruce's podcast long enough, you know that he would brag about he likes to do things on live TV because when it's live, it's done. We don't have to go redo it. If it was on live TV and it happened, it was meant to be, we'll move on. That's the way Bruce is. So when the show's over, Bruce is like, okay, it's in the rearview mirror. Who cares? Let's move on. But the internet decided, well, Bruce is an asshole. I'd be willing to bet if you played the entire tape, respectfully, I bet Chris Park was like that the entire day. Hey, what about this? Are you happy with that? Are you happy with this? Because he wants to be a people pleaser. But it was edited in a way where it made Bruce look like an asshole. And so I'm like, the pressure of live TV and holding people accountable to do their job makes you an asshole. I don't know. And it's not like he motherfucked him or read the riot act. And we've heard of
Well,
Vince doing
he
that.
would have. It's been better TV. Okay, so Bruce is a heel. Who gives a shit? At the end of the day, and Chris Park, I love him. I've experienced all sides of it. That man right there is the most coachable athlete that I have ever been around because he will do it till he doesn't think he has it right, knows he got it right. So I can't compliment enough. And it's pretty cool. That dude's doing the main event, producing the main event.
Yes.
Tells you of the Netflix. But at the end of the day, and Bruce knows this as well as anybody, hey, Chris Park ain't in the ring wrestling. Hitting their marks is strictly and only Seth and Punk's responsibility.
Correct.
Game, set, match. That's why, like, okay, you've already given.
And you know what Punk and Seth are thinking. Again, I don't really know those guys for real, but in my head, it's like, hey, we're going to lose. We've been building this story for 6 months. And old Helicopter Rock comes out here glad-handing for 2 minutes too long. And now we got to cut out part of our finish. I'm going to do the match I want to do, and we'll go long.
That's
like, that's what really happened. So the heel in the circle. But you have to appreciate the people who are watching it don't know all of this, Jeff. So they take everything at face value. You're right. And know, in reality TV, you have to have heels and villains and baby. Yes. So that's Bruce in this particular scene. But in reality, what did Bruce do? Just remind, hey guys, we're going long. We got to hit our time. They even had Ed Koskey say, hey, the worst thing you can do is go long. The second worst thing you can do is go short. So plan A is make your time, and plan B is make your time. So It's like, if we understand that, hey, we've got to hit our times, and now we have talent in the ring not hitting their time. Bruce asking the producer, what the hell are they doing? Why aren't they going home? We're going long. That's his job. What do you think Bruce is supposed to be doing back there?
Oh, Dutch is so spot on. How do I like my reality TV? Good and scripted.
Well, I'm not going to say they're scripting it, but a friend of mine said, Connie, it all comes down to the edit. And after today's episode, I have a feeling that Double J may be back channeling to Dave Silva to make a few edits because we had an off the rails edition of My World today. We are not going to be talking about SummerSlam next week. We will talk a little bit more about Unreal. If you'll commit to me, Jeff, that you're actually going to watch Unreal between now and next Tuesday.
I got plane rides coming up this week. I do. And that's what it'll come down to. Plane rides, airport time, that kind of stuff. Yes.
So we'll watch Unreal, and we'll be talking about it next week. And we're going to talk about some old school TNA, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And by next week, who knows? Maybe TNA's got a new TV deal. Did you see the rumor and innuendo, Jeff? They might be about to sign a deal with A&E or the CW. Wait, aren't those the networks WWE's got deals with?
Regardless, it's good for the industry. Just you really think about, God, did I see a clip of Women of Wrestling? Yep, I saw that. NWA, didn't they just launch their?
Yep.
TNA's a lot of chatter out there. You just kind of look at AEW, and we just announced, I don't know if you know this, we announced Full Gear back in Jersey. We've got Toronto coming up. Kind of our, as you know, Wrestle Dream in St. Louis. Lots of the wrestling business. How long have we had this kind of sustained run coming out of the pandemic, Conrad? Quite some time.
It's rolling right now. And you mentioned St. Louis. I want to mention Top Guy Weekend. If you're with us over at adfreeshows.com, that's going to be in St. Louis. We've got some tricks up our sleeve. I've told you some of the things I'm trying to put together. If I'm successful in putting this together, and it is going to take a Hail Mary effort, this will be one of the coolest things we've ever done that weekend. So make plans to join us with adfreeshows.com, Top Guy Weekend in October in St. Louis. And the rumor and innuendo is that World's End is going to be at the Now Arena.
Oh,
Hoffman Estates. That's StarCast stomping grounds. And allegedly, that's a home hotel for StarCast, the Hyatt Regency there. I don't know. Maybe I'll put together a good idea. We'll see what happens in the coming weeks. But plan to join us at the end of the month in Philadelphia. I'm going to make every effort to be there. I think you should too. August 27th, the 2300 Arena, Dynamite. 2 days later, the Ring of Honor pay-per-view, and the next day, Collision. More wrestling than you can shake a stick at. That's what you can expect at AEWTIX.com. That's what you can expect next week right here on My World.
Peace.
Hey, it's Conrad Thompson here to tell you a little more about what adfreeshows.com is all about. Get early, ad-free access to more than a dozen of your favorite wrestling podcasts every single week, starting at just $9. That's less than 20 cents an episode each month. And yes, you can listen to them all directly through Apple Podcasts or your regular podcast apps. How easy is that? Ad-free shows also has thousands of hours worth of bonus content and docuseries like Title Chase, Eric Fires Back, Conversations with Conrad, and The Insiders. Plus new series like The Book with David Crockett, Monday Mailbags with Mike Chioda and Nick Patrick, and a whole lot more. And you want to talk about early? You can't get any earlier than listening to the shows live. You can be a part of the live studio audience as we record the podcast. Plus, ride shotgun alongside your favorite childhood heroes for live watch-alongs, Q&As, and other interactive experiences every single month. Come on now, see for yourself what thousands of other wrestling fans from around the world have discovered, that adfreeshows.com is the best value in wrestling. Check it out today, and hey, when you do, the first week is completely free. adfreeshows.com.